Hello YouTubers, viewers, subscribers, and friends. Welcome to my new channel, One Down, Four Up. Although this is a new channel for me, I'm not new to YouTube. I have a main channel that I've been making videos on since 2009. I have over, I think, 450, almost 500 videos on that channel. That main channel name is I Seek Out the Truth, and I'll put a link to that down in the description box in case you're interested in going and checking out my main channel. My main channel is basically just random stuff. Anything that's going on with me in my life or my family or where I live or whatever I'm doing, I make videos and upload it to that channel. Right now I'm focusing on this channel. The way I open up my I Seek Out the Truth channel is hello YouTubers, subscribers, and friends, and I kind of opened it on this one too, so I don't know, maybe I should just since it's a new channel, come up with a new opening. So I have to work on that. It's just such a habit when I'm making videos that I use my old opening. Anyways, this channel is going to be about motorcycles. It's going to be about moto vlogging, street bikes, dirt bikes, anything that has to do with two wheels or mess around in the desert, or just driving around town talking. On my main channel I have several videos on there about me shopping around for motorcycles. I've been riding now for over 40 years. I'm an older, more experienced rider. That's funny. I started riding when I was 10 years old. Let me just start from the beginning. Introduce myself. My name is Marco. Like I said, I've been riding a little over 40 years. I just turned 50 not too long ago, but I don't act 50. I still feel like I'm about, I don't know, 30, 35 years old. A big kid at heart. And I started riding a little bit before I was 10 years old. I started on a mini bike, and I moved up fast to XR75. And 6 months of riding that, I moved up to a 125 Elsinore, Honda Elsinore. And I rode that for, I don't know, 2 or 3 years. And my brother gave me his Honda 250 Elsinore. So I moved up pretty quick at a young age, mostly starting out riding, dirt bikes, because that was back in the 70s, and so there wasn't any internet or YouTube or PS4 or Xbox or anything like that. The way we had fun as kids, we'd go out on our dirt bikes, and it seemed like everybody had dirt bikes back then. I'm originally from California, but I grew up I'm here in Tucson, Arizona. Actually, I'm northwest of Tucson, the city of Tucson, about 35 miles northwest. I live out in the country. But as a kid, my mother moved us from California to Tucson, Arizona. North of Tucson is a little town called Catalina. It's about, I don't know, 25-30 minutes north of Tucson. And it was pretty much in the middle of nowhere out there. So, as kids you have to entertain yourself, and everybody in that little town, we all drove dirt bikes, and we'd go up to the mountains, Catalina Mountains, and ride up in the mountains, go up to the back way to the ski lodge and go skiing. And that's just what we did, because we didn't have all the internet or even television. Back then we only had 3 channels, ABC, CBS, and NBC. So there really wasn't even anything to watch on TV, because there was no such thing as cable TV. I remember in the early 80s when HBO first came out, I was like, wow, that was, oh my god, movies on TV, that was the biggest thing back then. And that was the only thing at the time, Showtime and HBO, that took me away from riding dirt bikes. But like I said, I've been riding for over 40 years. I moved up from the dirt bikes, I went to street bikes. I've owned, my first street bike was a Honda CB350, and then I moved up from that to I should say my biggest dirt bike I had was a BSA 500 that a friend of mine sold to me. But I really love dirt biking just as much as street biking. And the Honda CB350, man, that thing was fast, man, back in the day. And I drove it like I stole it, like a bat out of hell. And So I would flip-flop. I would go, you know, motorcycle, street bike to dirt bike, back to street bike to dirt bike, quads. I've owned everything. Like I said, the street bikes that I've owned, I'll just name a few. The Honda CB350. The next one after that was a Yamaha Virago. Then I had a Suzuki. Moved up to a Kawasaki LTD 1000. That was the biggest bike I've ever owned. It was like a police edition. I got it at an auction for really cheap for $200, and I painted it candy apple red and reupholstered the seat and kept it for about 2 years, and turned around and sold it. And then when I started getting into hot rods and stuff, and then I'd go back to you know, riding dirt bikes, and it was like that all my life. And then like I said, I grew up here in Tucson from the age of I say about 12 years old till I was 18, and then I just moved to packed up my stuff and moved back to California. And when I was out in California, I rode mostly dirt bikes. And as you see me in this picture here, this is when I moved from California because I got tired of earthquakes and moved to Florida, to which I lived in Florida for 22 years. I had gotten married and packed up my stuff and moved to Florida. I had one daughter, and she was 4 years old when I moved to Florida. She still lives in Florida now, Cocoa Beach area. She's actually I want to say 28, 29 years old. I don't remember exactly, but she has 3 kids. I got 3 grandchildren. I don't feel like a grandpa, and my grandkids are not allowed to call me grandpa. They call me Ye. That's Chinese for grandpa. Because my oldest granddaughter, she was in school, and the teacher asked her what is her nationality, because she doesn't look anything like my daughter, her mother. Because her father is blonde hair, blue eyes, and she takes after her father, blonde hair, blue eyes. And my daughter is half Asian and half Caucasian. That sounds funny. Which takes me back to myself. What am I? I'm a human being. That's what I always tell people when they ask me, because they can't figure out what exactly I am. But I'll give you a quick update on what I am. I don't actually pick one nationality. I'm a multi-race, like Tiger Woods, multi-racial. I just tell people I'm a human being. I'm the human race. That's what race I am, the human race. So my father was Chinese. My father's parents were French. His mother was French. His father was Chinese. My father's Chinese and French. My mother's side, my mother's father was Apache Indian, and my mother's mother was Navajo and Mexican. So my mother is really mixed up. She doesn't look Mexican. She doesn't claim her to be Mexican. She actually claims to be more Indian than anything, because her father was Indian, mother was half Indian. So that tells you what kind of mixture I am. I'm a mixture of French, Indian, Mexican, and Chinese. I carry the Chinese last name, Li, and that just explains my nationality or my race. But I choose human race when people ask me, or when I fill out applications or of anything. I write human race. I got a funny story about a bookstore. Maybe I'll tell that in another video, but just really quick story about that. I went to one of these used bookstores where they buy stuff, and I went and sold some old PlayStation stuff that I got at a yard sale. That's, if you want to see that video is on my main channel. And I took it to this place called Bookman's, and I went to sell it, and I was filling out the information, and it says race. I wrote human race, and the guy behind the counter, he snapped. He just went crazy on me, and long story short, he walked out of the store, and the manager took over, and he didn't have a problem with that. So stories like that happen to me all the time, my whole life. I can go on with millions of stories of all kinds of weird things that have happened to me. So anyways, back to this channel, 1 Down 4 Up. The reason I came up with that name is because the first bike that I drove was 1 down 4 up. The gears were 1 down and 4 up. So So that's always stuck with me. When my brother would tell me how to ride it, he would tell, just push one down, and then if you want to go faster, go four up. And that's basically how he taught me to ride. He stuck me on the XR75 and told me, this is the gas, this is the brake, this makes you go fast, this makes you stop. If you fall over or crash, don't cry, get up, get back on, and take off again. And that's how I've been riding my whole life. Most of the accidents I've been in my life have been on off-roading dirt bikes, motocrossing, whatever you want to do, call that. I've ridden street bikes on the street a lot. I've never had an accident on the street, knock on wood. So yeah, and then from Florida, forgot what I was talking about. When I lived in Florida, I lived there like 22 years. And I met my wife now, my present wife. I had a previous wife from my oldest daughter, and I got divorced, and then I met my wife in Florida, and she's Indonesian. So my children now, I have a son and daughter now from this marriage, and they're really confused because my wife is from Indonesia. Her father's Indonesian, and her mother is Indonesian and Dutch. So my wife is Indonesian and Dutch, and my children are Indonesian and Dutch, Chinese, Mexican, and Indian. So yeah, we're really mixed up. We're the Heinz 57 family. That's what my wife doesn't think that's funny, but she's sleeping, so I can say it. Yeah, she's sleeping. Nobody behind me. Had to look back. So in the last 6 months, the reason I made this channel because in the last 6 months I've been wanting to get another bike because I've been back in the States after living in Indonesia for 3 years. I moved from Florida to Indonesia. I lived in Jakarta, Indonesia for 1.5 years. And the reason we went there is because my wife's parents were dying from cancer, and they died a month apart from each other. And we ended up staying 3 years there to take care of all the family stuff that had to be taken care of over there. My wife has 3 brothers, so they had to sell everything and split everything down the middle. And in the process, I had to learn a lot about Indonesia that I didn't know anything about until I met my wife. So I lived 1.5 years in Jakarta, Indonesia, and then we had to go to another island called Sulawesi. And on that island, it's about, I don't know, 3.5, 4 hour flight from Jakarta. It's a beautiful island, and on that island there's a city called Moto. So we went there to take care of some property that my wife's parents owned, and we had to sell it. And when I went there, I fell in love with the place and ended up living there for another 1.5 years there. So I lived 1.5 years in Jakarta, 1.5 years in Moto, and then my wife wanted to come back to the States, so we came back, and we've been back now 5 years. So we came to Tucson, Arizona because my mother lives here in Tucson, Arizona, and I have 3 brothers that 2 brothers that live here, and I have a brother live in Las Vegas, a sister in Las Vegas, sister in northern Arizona, and a sister in Atlanta, Georgia. So I got a big family. So I started my YouTube account when I was living in Indonesia, right before I came to the States, so I could make videos and they could, get on YouTube and see the videos I was making of Indonesia. That's another account that I don't have anymore. So I started my main channel, which is I Seek Out the Truth. It's a long story about why I came up with that name. A lot of people ask me all the time, and the way I end my videos, it's a whole nother story there. So if you're interested about things going on in my life, go over to that channel. Like I said, I'll put a link down in the description. This is my second channel. This is mainly going to just be about motorcycles or anything on 2 wheels, and just that kind of stuff, and moto vlogs. I got sidetracked. What I was saying, when I was living in Indonesia, that's the last time I rode anything on 2 wheels, because I bought a scooter when I was living in Indonesia, and I'll put a link to that picture of that scooter in here somehow. Okay, so yeah, because they didn't sell any type of motorcycles there when I was living. It wasn't until we decided to come back to the States that they started importing motorcycles over there, like the Kawasaki 250 Ninja started to become pretty popular over there. Anyways, I picked that scooter up for $100, and I just rode that like crazy. I drove that like I stole it, and the people that were living with me and my wife's family, aunts and uncles and cousins that lived on that city of Moto, they all thought I was crazy the way I drove that scooter. But if you're a scuba diver and you want to know a big secret about Moto, Indonesia, just about a 1.5 hour boat ride just north of Moto is the biggest scuba diving secret in the world, and it's called the island of Bunaken, and that's the #1 place in the world to go scuba diving. It's beautiful, man. You can go snorkeling, and you can see turtles as big as VW swimming under the water, and all kinds of tropical fish and everything. So that's a beautiful place. That's why when I went there, I fell in love with that island, and I didn't want to leave. I left kicking and screaming. I didn't want to come back to the States because I was living like a king over there, you know, like a celebrity kind of, because very rarely do they see, you know, foreigners over there. So anyways, I learned the language, I learned the money, and I learned a lot about the country, and then I came back to the States and moved to Tucson. Like I said, my mother lives right down the road from me, and I want to be near her because my wife's parents passed away, and my mother's getting pretty old. She's about 77 years old, so I wanted to be, you know, I'm not saying she's going to kick the bucket or anything, because she's got more energy than me. She could run around in circles around me. She hikes every day up to the mountain. She lives at the foothill of a mountain, and she hikes that every day. I can't even go halfway up without running out of energy and dying, well, dehydration. So come back to this story here. This actual bike right here is a Kawasaki. I rode that in Florida, and actually the picture is not doing it justice, because there's about, I don't know, from the top of the jump to where I am is about 8 feet. But that's whoever cut the picture, they cut the jump out. But I love jumping. I suck at doing wheelies, man. I don't know what it is. I always flip over backwards, or I can't get the wheelie up pretty good. So that's one of my pet peeves. I hate. I can't do wheelies. I don't know. And I'm in a bicycle, man. I rode BMX from 18 to 21. I used to be on a BMX tour, and flatland and quarter pipes, and that's just one thing I could not do. I could do endos and tail whips and, you know, 360s on the quarter pipe, but I just can't do wheelies. I don't know what it is. Freaking moto vlogger Yummy. Your wheelies. Oh my God. Every time I see him doing wheelies, it's just like, man, I know when he's gonna do a wheelie before he does a wheelie. So it's like, oh man, the force is strong in that one. So anyways, don't want to make this vlog too long. Like I said, this is a new channel for me, and my second channel, but I'm not new to YouTube. So be patient with me. I don't even have a motorcycle yet. Oh, that's one thing I want to get to. On my main channel, I've been shopping around for different motorcycles, and I wanted to get a Supermoto, but you know, look at that. That's beautiful, man. Look at that thing. But I went to the dealerships, and they're just, man, it's way too tall. I'm 5'7". I'm 185 pounds. I can't even tippy-toe when I sit on that bike. I mean, I love that bike. This bike's like $7,500 at the dealership I went and looked at on my main channel. And it's just a beautiful bike, man. Look at that bike. That's another one, man. Just beautiful. I can't touch the ground, man. So, you know, I'm all about riding safe, you know, wearing protective gear. I'm no squid. And I'm not going to fall over every time I get to a light or have to put training wheels on this thing. That's just ridiculous. So I saw at the one dealership, the Yamaha dealership, they have one called the TW200. And that almost looks like it, but it's got big knobby tires on the front and back. And I don't even have a picture of that. And I was like, well, I can't get a Supermoto because it's too tall. I asked the guy there if you have a lowering kit, and he'd act like I was talking Chinese to him. He didn't understand what I was saying. So I went to a different dealership. I went to Honda dealership to go see if they have Supermotos, and Honda don't make Supermotos. That's what they told me at this dealership right here, Muscleman Honda in Tucson, Arizona, on the corner of Grant and Stone. And I saw this little bike, 2014 Honda Groom. Man, that's a beautiful bike, man. It's like a little Supermoto. It's like a mini Supermoto. And the price, man, you can't beat it, man. $3,199. He told me total out the door with taxes and everything, $3,700. And I was like, cool, man. So I went back a couple of days later. I was going to finance it. And the guy said they sold the one. It was just like this. And he said that they have them in the back, but they're kind of backdoored right now. So it'll probably take 4 to 6 weeks to get one put all up together and ready to go. And I was like, man, I don't know if I want to finance it, and, you know, get it all approved and everything, and then have to wait 4 to 6 weeks. So I told the guy, think about it, and that's what I've been doing. I've been thinking about it. So I've been looking on Craigslist, and look at that little PWW there. My son, he wants to start riding too. I had him a little mini bike and a go-kart, and he loved it, but I don't know if his mother will let him ride a motorcycle. It took me 6 months to convince her to let me get one. I don't mean let me get one. I mean, we discussed and talked about it, and she agreed that, you know, she could see that I'm really wanting to ride. So, you know, I wouldn't mind getting $650. I've seen them for $400. But like I said, you know, my site, my channel is under construction, and it may be just a couple talking vlogs from now and then, and, you know, maybe shopping around, showing stuff what I'm doing, shopping around looking for a bike. I still got to get the gear. I need to get my helmet and my, you know, my gear for my arms and shoulders and gloves and stuff like that. But I'm a big believer in wearing protective gear, and I don't like open face helmets. I won't ride bullet head. It's got to be full face or nothing. And I just love it, man. Once you get on the bike, you never get off of it, and you may walk away for a little while, but you always want to come back. And how I knew that riding bikes was going to be in my life for the rest of my life is when I crashed on that XR75, and I busted my eyebrow, my left eyebrow, when blood was coming down my face, and I knocked the air out of myself so bad that I was running around screaming with no noise and crying with no tears. And my brother came up to me, and the only thing he was worried about was, don't tell mom, don't tell mom. And I was like, yeah, right, how am I going to hide this from mom? I got a gash 4 inches over my left eyebrow, and to this day I still have that scar. But once I could start breathing again, and the pain didn't kick in because the adrenaline was pumping through my blood, that's when I knew that I'll be riding bikes my whole life. And that's when anybody knows, is when you crash and you get up and you're like, screw this, I ain't doing this no more, you know, then you know. But when you get up and you're bleeding and you're cut, and the only thing you're worried about is if your bike's okay, then you know that riding dirt bikes or street bikes or crotch rockets or Harleys or, you know, baggers or bobbers or trikes, that's flowing through your blood, and that's what you want to do. So that's what's been happening with me the last 6 months. And I just told my wife, you know, I want to get another bike. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be shopping around for another bike, whether I get a super moto, which, you know, I don't think I will be, or if I get this Grom. I mean, I've been watching a lot of videos on this. I don't care about power anymore or fast bikes. I've been there, I've done that, I've had them all, you know, and I just want something to run around with, you know, every now and then, on, you know, 2-3 times a week, maybe on the weekends, all day long. You know, I really like going off-road, so, you know, I could see with this Grom that you could ride on the street and you could ride it off-road. Or, you know, maybe that Yamaha TW200. I haven't decided yet. Or I might even find something on Craigslist. You know, who knows what's on Craigslist. I mean, there's all kinds of bikes on Craigslist. I might find me a fixer-upper, you know, and make videos of me fixing it up. I don't know. But I want to thank everyone who watches my videos, whether on this channel or my main channel. People on my main channel, hey, subscribe to my motocross channel, my moto vlog channel, my walking vlog channel, whatever I'm going to call it, so I can get another bike. But I guarantee you I will get another motorcycle. And, oh yeah, I got to get a motorcycle license too. I went to the driver's license. They told me since I haven't had one in Arizona, I haven't had a motorcycle license ever. I've just been riding bikes. That's what motorcycles about, freedom. And I've always just, you know, nowadays you get busted. And back in the days when I was riding, nobody cared, man. Yeah, I went over there and they said I got to take a safety course because I never had an Arizona motorcycle license. And then I found out that I found a safety course called Team Arizona, and it's going to cost $300 just to get the safety course and a motorcycle license. So, you know, I got to do my baby steps. You know, I got to take care of my personal stuff and then do this hobby thing on the side. And I'll figure it out one step at a time, baby steps. So if you like this video or the videos I have on my other channel, hit the subscribe button, especially on this new channel because I only have one subscriber, username invalid16. Thanks for subscribing, man. He's from my original main channel also. And hit him up at his channel. He's got a YouTube channel where he rides quads and motorcycles and fixes go-karts and stuff, and a very interesting channel. I'll put a link down there also for his channel. But once again, you know, thanks for watching, and I'm out.